Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the two gentlemen of Verona and the status of these two gentlemen. Valentine has been banished because he fell in love with Sylvia and wanted to elope with her, so he has gone off and he's hooked up with a bunch of outlaws. Sylvia, meantime, is still in love with Valentine and yesterday talked to one of the knights in her father's court, Eglamour, about him helping her escape and get to Mantua, where Valentine is, because she has spurned the other gentleman of Verona, Proteus. She wants nothing to do with him, nor does she want anything to do with Thurio, who is the man that her father wants her to marry. Proteus instead asked for a picture of her so that he could, talk to it and sigh at it and all of that sort of thing. And she obliged. She said that he could have one, but really she wants nothing to do with him. So today we are in Act 4, Scene 4, and we get to hear from Launce, who is Valentine's servant. No, sorry, he's Proteus' servant. Launce is Proteus' servant, and he was told to give his dog to Sylvia as a present. Proteus said, take your dog and give it to Sylvia as a present, in this whole wooing thing. So Launce went and did that, and he did that off stage before this scene, but he kicks off this scene saying, "When a man's servant shall play the cur with him, look you, it goes hard. One that I brought up of a puppy, one that I saved from drowning when 3 or 4 of his blind brothers and sisters went to it. I have taught him, even as one would say precisely, thus I would teach a dog. I was sent to deliver him as a present to Mistress Sylvia from my master. And I came no sooner into the dining chamber, but he steps me to her trencher and steals her capon's leg. Oh, 'tis a foul thing when a cur cannot keep himself in all companies. I would have, as one should say, one that takes upon him to be a dog indeed, to be, as it were, a dog at all things. If I had not had more wit than he, to take a fault upon me that he did, I think verily he had been hanged for it. Sure as I live, he had suffered for it. You shall judge. He thrusts me himself into the company of 3 or 4 gentleman-like dogs under the Duke's table. He had not been there, bless the mark, a pissing while, but all the chamber smelt him. Out with the dog, says one. What cur is that? Says another. Whip him out, says the third. Hang him up, says the Duke. I, having been acquainted with the smell before, knew it was Crab, and goes me to the fellow that whips the dogs. Friend, quoth he, you do him more the wrong, quoth I. 'Twas I did the thing you wot of. He makes me no more ado, but whips me out of the chamber. How many masters would do this for his servant? Nay, I'll be sworn, I have sat in the stocks for puddings he hath stolen. Otherwise he had been executed. I have stood on the pillory for geese he hath killed. Otherwise he had suffered for it. Thou thinkst not of this now. Nay, I remember the trick you served me when I took my leave of Madam Sylvia. Did not I bid thee still mark me, and do as I do? When didst thou see me heave up my leg and make water against a gentlewoman's farthingale? Didst thou ever see me do such a trick? So he's having some problems with his dog. He was told to take his dog to Sylvia and walked into a room, I guess, where she was having dinner with a whole bunch of people, and the dog, Crab, stole her dinner, stole the turkey leg, the capon's leg, whatever it was that she was eating, and then went under the table with a bunch of other dogs and peed on a lady's dress under there so that everybody in the room could smell the dog pee that Crab had just put out. And Launce, being loyal to this dog, it's funny, he keeps referring himself to the servant of his master as if the dog is his master and not Proteus. But in order to save his dog, he's like, no, it was me. I peed under the table. That was my bad. Sorry about that. So he ends up getting whipped, and he and Crab are thrown out. And now he's frustrated with this dog for not behaving the way that a dog is supposed to, which actually a dog stealing some food and going and peeing under the table is exactly what a dog would do. But he wants the dog to be better behaved and that sort of thing. And he's very upset, and he's telling the dog, like, you should behave the way that I do, and you should do the things that I do. And when did you ever see me pee on a lady's dress? So, like, no, you shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. So he's angry and scolding the dog. But this is also the dog, remember, that he was upset that this dog didn't cry when he was going to be leaving. So it's a very weird relationship between Launce and the dog. But this is just, it's supposed to be a humorous tale of this gift giving gone horribly wrong when the dog steals the food and pees under the table instead of just being a gift to Sylvia. So he's sort of scolding the dog at the end of this, and then Proteus and Julia, who is currently in disguise as Sebastian, come in. And remember, Julia/Sebastian saw Proteus trying to woo Sylvia and also saw Sylvia spurning his advances. So Julia is up to date on all of this, but she, as Sebastian, has decided that she should be in Proteus' service. And Proteus is like, yes, you be in my service, do the things that I ask you to do. And then they run into Launce, and Proteus is like, so did you give her my dog? And Launce is like, well, I gave her this dog. I tried to give her this dog. And Proteus is like, what, she didn't take it? And Launce is like, no, this dog, she didn't take the dog. It was not a good gift giving. He's like, well, why did you give that dog? Why didn't you give my dog? And Launce is like, but my dog is bigger, so it's the better gift. And Proteus has some thoughts on Launce's powers as a gift giver and performance as a servant, and we will get to hear those in tomorrow's monologue. I'll see you then for that. Mwah.